Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Comic Man Jake. I'm Comic Man Jake, and here in the Comic Cave, anything can happen. Tonight we're going to be reviewing Action Comics 1000, the landmark issue, written by a number of great writers. One of my personal favorites, Brian Michael Bendis at the end. Spoiler alert, I will be revealing some of these stories and what's going on with this, and yeah, sorry, I can't, there's nothing else I can do about it. So, let's get right into it. So, Action Comics 1000 is written by, has a number of stories on them. The first one is called From the City That Has Everything, written and drawn by Dan Jurgens. Dan Jurgens is well known for the death of Superman. If you guys know, he died and came back. He wrote both of those. He knows Superman the best. He wrote also, when they had the New 52 Superman, they went into more of, he wrote the current Lois Clark, which brought back the pre-New 52 Superman into the New 52 universe. When they killed off the New 52 Superman, the current one, the pre-52, took its place back, and then Action Comics, which he was writing up until now. This issue is kind of cool. It's more... What I thought was really cool about his writing on this one is basically what happens is Superman. We see Superman is flying into these ships, and basically he's taking care of this this alien race, and he's on the phone with Lois, and Lois is basically saying, "Are you gonna be here on time? Are you gonna be here on time?" He's like, "Don't worry, I'll get there. I'll get there. Don't worry about it." And you find out, like, and even Jonathan saying, like, "Hey, should I cover for Dad? I'll just zoom by," you know. He gets there, and we find out it's a celebration for Superman, and it's so cool because, like, the whole issue is like these people coming up and saying like certain things about Superman that they got saved by. So, like, the mayor's saying, like, "Yeah, I remember I was riding a subway when an oceanic flood trapped the tunnels inside. I thought it was a goner, but then Superman saved me." And the whole time, like, Clark's not paying attention to this. He's like, "There's an alien race out there somewhere. It's somewhere. I know it. I just saw it, and, you know, it's crazy." And he's like, and then it goes to a fireman who talks about, like, "Yeah, it was a normal day, and this lady went and came out of the door, basically screaming about a kid that was still in the building. I knew that it was struggling that sound, but I didn't care. I ran in, and I thought it was a goner because the building started to collapse. But Superman came in and saved me." And it's cool because he's like, "Oh, I remember that one," and it's so cool because it's a homage to Superman. And then we get to Maggie Sawyer, who's the Metro PD Metropolis basically police chief. And it's crazy because she just talks, it's another thank you to Superman, saying, like, you know, we're really good at what we do, but there's sometimes where we can't do it. And Superman comes up and saves us and helps us out. It's really great. And then it gets, Dan Jurgens does something that's really cool. He gets a convict. A guy, like, and he brings up his story. And, like, even, like, Jonathan the whole time is like, "Well, why would you let a criminal talk about this on a Superman day?" And he's basically starting off like bad. I mean, he's just like, "Yeah, I got busted for this, I got busted for that, you know, and I just did all this and did this." And then, you know, and the cool part is the last part where he says, "The last time he caught me, I was in over my head. I was smuggling plutonium for the Skull and nearly died. Superman knew the cycles of poverty and violence I was stuck in. He put in a good word for me so that once I got out of jail, I landed a decent job. Thanks to him and his patience, I finally have my life on track, and I'd like to see him again to thank him." And it's so cool. I mean, like, eventually, like, you find out, like, Lois is talking on the phone, and she keeps on saying, "Perry, Perry, Perry." Well, then all of a sudden, Perry White's coming up with no phone in his hand, and she's like, "Wait a minute. Hold on a second." And she's like, "Oh, crap." And he runs up and he tries to see if he can find out where those aliens are. And he bumps into Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, we got it. You know, go back. Enjoy it. I mean, this is something that we need to take care of." And she reveals that Martian Manhunter was hiding all these ships, even though they were taking care of it. There were times where Superman did see it, but Martian Manhunter would interfere with his mind and say, like, no, you didn't see that. And they said, well, why'd you do that? He goes, well, you know, it's just, we're fans of you too, and we know that without you, none of us would be possible here. And it's so cool, because it's Dan Jurgen basically saying, like, goodbye to Superman. Because he's not writing this anymore. After this, Brian Michael Bendis is picking up the slack for this. Well, not the slack, but Brian Michael Bendis is picking this up after this. And then that's how that one ends. Now the next one is called The Never Ending Battle. It's by Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. Peter Tomasi is an amazing writer that focuses more on family. He's one of my favorites because I really liked him when he did the Batman and Robin run, where he really focused on Damian Wayne and Bruce Wayne really becoming more of a family, a father-son thing. It changed Damian like immensely from this little brat kid to being like more human and more, you know, not as hostile, but being more of a Wayne. And he currently actually was taking over for Superman, the Superman run. Did a great job building up the relationship between Jonathan Kent and Clark Kent, and, you know, really Superman teaching Superboy, he is Superboy, his son, to really get to the roots. And this one actually starts off with a cool panel, and all it is he gets stuck in hyper time, which is crazy. He goes back in time, reliving his past. And the coolest part that I like about this story, he's fighting Vandal Savage, the immortal Vandal Savage. And the coolest part is, like, he goes back to the first time. There's this cool panel where he's in the 1930s. Where he first started, where Superman first started, and he's like, I'm in the 1930s, and it feels like I've been there before, but that's impossible. That's one of the quotes it says on this, and it's like, I feel really weakened, because I don't have a lack of powers. I have no heat vision, no X-ray vision, no flying, and I'm probably a little less self-control. You gotta think, back in the day, Superman was not that powerful. He was known for just being invincible, and he could jump. Able to leap tall buildings on a single bound. He couldn't fly yet. And then it goes to another one where it just goes through these cool. It's just a single panel, and it's just the past, like another version of Superman that pops up with the the trunks, and the S is different. And then it goes to the first time Superman showed up on TV, on animated TV. He's got his costume with a black where it's if you guys seen the Action Comics run with Greg Pak, you know that little the Superman Jesse shirt he wore. That's what he's wearing. It's that, but a suit, and it's what originally he wore in, I think it was the 1940s, I believe. Yeah, 1940s. And then it goes to it basically like goes. Everything's a single panel taking like, I don't remember this, but this is like time, and it's going back on these 80 years of Superman making this cool thing, and it's just basically a homage to him. And at one point, there's one where he's like, he got creative and asked himself, why not try to stop me with me? And there's these three Supermen like basically punching, but it's like the three Supermen from the different animated series, and it's crazy. I mean, it's amazing what Gleason did. And then he talks about when he got zapped and he didn't have any powers, and that's paying homage to The Dark Knight, where he got hit with an atomic bomb and was basically like zapped for a bit. And then it goes to one of my favorite ones. It goes to the return of Superman with the black suit, and you can see Steel and Superboy and Mongol. And it's this cool picture. Again, it's just a single panel. It's so amazing. And then it gets to the coolest, one of my favorite parts is, and this is just me geeking out here. I mean, this is amazing what they did on this. They get to a panel where it's, you see the two, I don't remember their names, but they're from the animated series, from the 1994. And it also shows, if you guys have seen the Christopher Reeve Man of Steel, Superman 2, where Zod is like, where Zod and them are putting the Phantom Zone, and that little disc is flying, and it's got a little picture of that with the Fortress of Solitude from it. And the whole time, and then it goes into Kingdom Come, and then like the coolest part is at the end, like he comes back and he punches Vandal Savage, and it's basically saying like Vandal Savage didn't realize that, you know, I would fight through anything just to get to you guys. So he's talking to Lois and Clark. At the end, it's you know, like he says in the end one, it says Vandal's first and last mistake was that he didn't realize each and every time stream in the end led home to my family. Lois says, how about you save some wind there, Smallville, and blow out those candles? And Jonathan's like, yeah, before the ice cream melts. And he goes, what a tough crowd. Huh, Krypto? And Krypto's laughing. And it's this beautiful cake that they're making, and it looks like it's got 80 candles on it. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool, that was one of my favorites. And then it goes into The Enemy Within by Marv Wolfman. And that one's more, I didn't really like this one. I thought it was okay. I understand what they were doing. They're trying to focus more on, like, Superman doesn't have... it's not only about Superman, it's about the other people around, too. Because that's Action Comics. It's always about the other people. And it focuses more on a... Maggie Sawyer, the police captain, remember, and she's basically holding this person captive. And this guy's... Maggie Sawyer isn't, sorry. This principal's holding him captive. And... you find out that the person is controlled by Brainiac. They take him down. The SWAT team takes him down with rubber bullets. And then she goes and sits on a park bench after doing this, and another person pops up. And again, it's Brainiac trying to control him, and Superman's like, nope, he's not going to do that. And it ends with that. And then my favorite one, this is my all-time favorite. Well, tied. The last story is one of my favorites. There's three favorites of mine, but this was my favorite because of one reason. Geoff Johns. For most of you that don't know, he wrote one. Geoff Johns is from Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. He is a Spartan. Michigan State, went to Michigan State for communications, and he went to Michigan State. And he actually worked with Richard Donner, who is the director of the Christopher Reeves first and second Superman. And he actually worked with Richard Donner on Superman 2. And the cool part is, like, he's written a lot of comics about Superman with Richard Donner. And he wrote this one, and it's called The Car. And the coolest part, I love this one, because I didn't realize what it was. I'm like, what is about this car? And then I put it in the page, and I look, and it's the classic Superman, like, from Action Comics #1. And I'll put a picture up here right now what it is. But Action Comics #1, it's a Superman, like, just holding this car. And he's, like, banging it on something. And it's about the guy, the driver of this. And he says, you know, hey, buddy, what'd you hit, an elephant? And he just his panels, and you see it's Superman. He says, I hit a man wearing red underwear. He says, you gotta lay out the sauce for a while, man. He's like, I'm telling you, a guy did this. Then he hung me on a telephone pole. There's a telephone pole, huh? He nearly fell climbing down. He said, you should come back this afternoon. You sober up a bit, I'll let you get a price on the damage of this car this guy did, but probably cost too much to fix it. Heck, if you were me, I'd junk it. And he's like, any chance I can get it left home? He's like, what, I look like a taxi stand? And then, so he's walking in the junkyard, and he sees Superman. He's like, it's you. He goes, yep, it's me. I went back to the telephone pole, but you were gone. And he basically says, is Superman talking to the guy and basically saying, you know, you get away with everything, you're doing all this stuff, but, you know, I'm going to give you a second chance. Because he talks about, like, you probably had, he says, I did some, like he says, he's like, I did some digging on you. This is Superman. Your dad was killed in the Great War. leaving you to take care of your sick mother by yourself until she finally passed. How old were you? And he goes, 13. He goes, no family, wound up in an orphanage on 45th until you ended up on the streets. He says, out on 45th. Yeah, it used to get so hot we'd want to go swimming, but there weren't any pools. And basically he says, you know what? I'm not going to bring you back, but I want you to make a decision. I want you to choose with your life what you want to do. And it's amazing because he's like, it's like he's referencing the car, because at one point he goes, so the thing he says is, you've had your fair share of knocks, and you keep getting knocked, and you can keep knocking the world back like you've done, or you can make a decision today. Be that person who wasn't there for you for someone else. It's your life, Butch. You can fix it, or you can junk it, because that's it. Because it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. See you around. And then the end panel is basically him deciding. He goes to that orphanage that says, it gets so hot he needed a pool, and he cracks open one of the fire hydrants, and the kids are running around. It's such a cool panel. Okay, the next one. Don't worry, we're halfway there. The fifth one is called The Fifth Season. It's by Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder is known more for his Batman run in the New 52. He also just finished the Metal instance, where he introduced the Dark Multiverse, along with a bunch of evil Batman. And now he's actually it's been known that he's taking over for the Justice League. And for all you guys that remember that Justice League when you were a kid, the Justice League animated series, yeah, that's the league. That's the team up. It is that league. Like, no joke. I am like rooting for this, and I've got to put that in the poll list. Shoot, forgot that one. But he's leading with this one called Justice League No Justice, where a lot of the members are split off and making their own team, and it's just, it looks amazing. But anyway, I thought it was kind of cool. It was a good one. Basically, it's Lex Luthor and him basically saying, remember in the past, I was trying to get some, I tried to get basically an SOS out to you, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I was doing all the stuff to try to help you, and at one point he's like, yeah, you were there, and but they're, he's like, and Lex just bragging like, yeah, I did this and blah blah blah, but he didn't realize that he almost failed because Clark was there and he actually had to help him using his heat vision for something. So and it ends there with that one. I'm paraphrasing that one. And then we get to a cool one that I really like, and it's by Tom King. Tom King is known for right now doing his Batman run he's currently doing. The Batman run is a 100-issue arc. Right now they're on issue 45, and basically it's Batman's getting married to Catwoman. And I heard it's doing well. I heard it's amazing. I've heard a lot of things about it. I have not read it yet because I'm waiting for it to come out all in one. I'm going to probably get the omnibus so I can read it all at once. But from what I've seen, I did pick up the first issue of Batman when it came out, and it was pretty good. And he writes so Tom King writes the story called Of Tomorrow, and it's cool because Superman's in this, I think it's a dying planet, and basically he picks up some coal and makes it hard, and he's talking. He's basically just like, he's talking to. He says, what was it? He says, so I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna go say goodbye. But before I do, updates. Final updates. Lois is still doing well, still running the universe into the info network. She tells me she's sick of Eternal formula. It tastes like grape, which she likes a lot, but it's a lot of years. She's tired of Grape. And John, you should see John. I wish you could see John. I'm so proud of him. He reminds me especially of you, Ma. Kind and so damn stubborn. What else? Oh, obviously, I miss you. I love you every day. It doesn't matter how long it's been. It's still every day. Look, I don't know if you're here or out there or just gone. It's probably better that this is the last time. I probably wasted my time coming here. I could be... I just think a lot about when I was a kid and we were going to church, Pa. And I didn't want to go, and I wanted to hang out with Pete. And I was testing you. Asking, how can you spend all your time on the science of farming and still do this? And you said you didn't see it the way it was all the same. Science, religion, myths, stories, we are all stardust falling. And so we look to the skies and wait to be acclaimed. Goodbye, Ma. Goodbye, Pa. And thank you for everything. And it's cool because like the stone that he's holding, he crafts it using his heat vision into a little mini statue of his parents. And there's this tomb. And it says, Kent, Jonathan and Martha, beloved parents and grandparents, you gave us hope. What I loved about this one was Clay Mann did it, and he's one of my favorite artists. Really good at detail and everything like that. And then we get one called 5 Minutes by Louise Simpson. It's okay. I mean, it's basically Perry's giving him this deadline, saying you got 5 minutes, get it done. And he's walking away because he sees a train running off the place, and he's like, oh, I got 2 more minutes. And then he sees this happen, and this happens, and this happens. And he finally comes back, and he's about to write it and get it done because he's got the speed type. And Perry's like, screw that, we're gonna... Superman did all this. That's the story right now. He's like, okay, fine. And then we get to Action Land, which is written by Paul Dini. Paul Dini, I believe, is known for the animated series of Superman. And it was okay. It was more about Mxyzptlk. And it was good. One of my favorite. But then we get to another one of my favorites. So we got the car, and then this one's called Faster Than a Speeding Bullet. And this one is so cool. It starts off with Superman flying into Metropolis, and he's saying, I won't make it. And the next panel is this guy holding this gun at this girl and saying, like, I told you to stop me. And he's like, you want me to do it? Fine. This is not your doing. No, and he's like, no, and you hear click. The next panel goes, click. And he's like, I'm not going to make it, but I have to try. And the whole time, it's like, he says, he's seeing, remember, he's flying into Metropolis, and they're in the subway, this is happening. And he says, I watched the gunpowder ignite. A femtosecond later, the bullet rotates around the grooves of the barrel. I know the distance. I'm close. But this is math. I won't make it. Then it hits me. I was so busy watching him, I didn't see her. Just as he was pulling the trigger, she leaned her weight against the barrel, into danger. Supersonic becomes hypersonic. Then it becomes that speed I haven't flown since Pa. She's reckless. It catches him off guard. Buys her an attosecond, which is like, you gotta think, like, there's a second, and there's a millisecond, and then an attosecond. It's like, holy cow! But it's not enough to stop the bullet. Fortunately, and you hear, fortunately, and then boom, and he catches it. He catches the bullet. The girl, again, the gun's pressed against the girl's head. He clicks the trigger. He's flying in from Metropolis. Like, he's like just flying in when he hits the trigger. And bam! He catches it. Whoa! And that one's written by Brad Meltzer. And wow. Just wow. And then, guys, we get to the part. One of my favorite. The reason I bought this issue. We get to finally see Brian Michael Bendis' writing. And man, guys, let me tell you something. Like, holy cow. Like, this is awesome. It starts off with Superman flying in a building, and he's coughing up blood, smashing into a couple buildings, and he's knocked out. Now, think about this. This is crazy. Superman doesn't get knocked out. Superman, more or less, like, the only time I've ever read a comic or seen anything where Superman gets knocked out is when he died. Is when Doomsday had that final punch, and he finally drew his last breath, and he died. Like, I have never, ever seen Superman get knocked out. But he does. He gets knocked out, and he crashes into this diner with these pedestrians trying to help him. And then there's this new alien that comes in that we don't know what the heck he is. He's got an axe. He's got really bad dental problems. He scripts on Kryptonian! And he says, Kryptonian, you can spare these Earthers! The Corral damn... And as he's doing that, as he's speaking, he's interrupted by Supergirl punching him, punching, and he just knocks her. I mean, it's just funny. She just... Get out of the way. And, saying, I said I'd deal with you next! I mean, he hits her, like, to the next... Like, to Gotham, basically. And, Superman finally gets up. He, basically, says, sorry I didn't get your name. And this is Bendis' writing. He goes, I know this tactic, Kryptonian. In this language, I believe you call it stalling. And he says, you started the fight. Sorry it's not going how you hoped. And I love this. This is where, like, Bendis knows how to grab you. And it's just, he says, this is not a fight. And he punches Superman, and Superman almost clashes. Like, he gets, like, this close. Here's a building. Here's this. He's that close to hitting it, and he stops. And he looks over the side, and that alien comes back and goes, and remember, he said, this is not a fight, it's a cleansing. And basically goes on a rant saying, you know, you fought well, going kind of Thorish. And finally Superman asks, who are you? He says, I am a Rogol Zar. And Supergirl tries again to save Clark. And you hear him say, I cleanse, and Rogol Zar says, I cleanse the galaxy of this Kryptonian plague. And I am here to finish the job. And he holds up his blade over Superman and says, your bloodline must end once and for all. But this is it. The Kryptonian sickness finally ends today, just like I once promised Jor-El. And as he's doing that, he stabs Superman. And I mean, it looks like it went through. I'm like, what? Like, think about that. That's nuts. Because there's not one, other than magic and kryptonite, there's nothing else that can do that. So that's kind of crazy. So again, but this final one is the one that makes it just so crazy. So he says, so I'll read it again. It's saying, so Rogol Zar says, your bloodline must end, once and for all. But this is it. The Kryptonian sickness finally ends today. Just like I once promised Jor-El when I destroyed the planet Krypton. What? Are you joking? Like, Bendis, like, holy cow, I'm excited. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, most of you guys know that Krypton blew up because of, like, the core was unstable. But to think that this guy could have had a thing in it, I mean, it's so amazing. And then finally, it ends with, to be revealed on the Man of Steel, And one of my favorite things, and one of the things I am so looking forward to, Bendis is coming. Man. Oh. Overall, guys, I would definitely recommend getting this comic. It's an 80-page run of written by a lot of authors. There are 25 variants covers that you can get, all spanning through the time of Superman. Alright, guys, that wraps up this episode, and I hope you enjoyed what you see. And you know what? Let's leave a comment down here. What was the first time you were introduced to Superman? Was it through the TV series? Was it through the movies? Was there a specific comic that you picked up and you fell in love with him, or you saw him for the first time? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, hit that like button. It helps me as a content maker to know what you like and what you don't like, so we can work on this. And it really would help me if you hit that subscribe button and also hit that little bell so you get notified whenever I make more videos, because there's more coming, guys. I'm Comic Man Jake, and that wraps up this episode. Peace.
We're in the Wild West now. When karma swings around you, you're all gonna come tumbling down. When they grow older, what will I tell them? A slip with a tongue, I'll back you and your girlfriend. I got the facts, don't try and pretend. I ain't cool with it now, we're cool with it then. Nah.